Have you ever wondered what a single act of kindness can do? Please help me. I can't breathe. Marcus staggered into a narrow alley just off Decatur Street. One hand clutching his chest, the other searching his coat pocket in vain. The inhaler was gone, his lungs seized with panic. He stumbled forward, bumping into a young man in a hoodie. "Hey," the man barked, brushing him off. "Watch it, old man." Marcus gasped, but the man didn't look back. A couple walked past next, eyes meeting Marcus briefly before veering away. A jogger veered around him without slowing. A dog barked from across the street. No one stopped. No one helped. He collapsed to his knees beside a dumpster. That's when Maya saw him. She'd been looking for bottles behind the food stalls, anything she could trade for a few coins. But when she heard the wheezing, the barely audible plea for help, she turned and froze. There, in the shadow of the alley, lay a white man in a suit. His face pale, his body curling inward like he was trying to disappear. Maya's breath caught. For a second, she wanted to run. Grandma always told her not to get involved, but something in her chest tugged. Maybe it was the sound or the way he reached toward her blindly. She took a step closer, then another. "Sir," she asked, voice trembling. "Are you sick?" Marcus couldn't answer. His lips were blue, his hands twitching. Maya dropped beside him, scanning quickly. His breaths were short, gasping just like Grandma's. When her lungs closed up, she patted his pockets. No inhaler. Panic surged in her tiny chest. She reached into her coat and pulled out a worn coin pouch. Inside, a single crumpled $5 bill, what she and Grandma had been saving for milk this week. She looked down at Marcus again. Then she turned and ran. Could this moment change everything for her? She darted down Chartres Street, dodging people, gripping the money so tight it nearly tore. The neon cross of Ruth's pharmacy blinked ahead. Inside, a man with a bald head and thick glasses stood behind the counter, counting bills. Maya rushed to him. "Sir, please. I need an inhaler." "A man, he can't breathe." The pharmacist scowled. "What the hell? Where are your parents?" "Please. He's in an alley. He's dying. I have $5. Do I look like a charity?" He snapped. "Rescue inhalers cost more than that kid. Get out of here before I call someone." Maya's lips trembled. "Please," she whispered. "Just one, please." The man sighed heavily, looking at her torn coat, her soaked shoes. "Damn it," he muttered. He reached under the counter and grabbed a generic inhaler. "This is all you're getting, and I'm keeping the $5." She nodded quickly, handing him the bill. He snatched it, then grunted, "What, alley?" "Off to Decatur near the blue dumpster." He picked up the phone. "Go. I'll call 911. Maya didn't wait. She was already running, feet flying over puddles and broken concrete, chest burning with each breath. When she reached the alley, Marcus was slumped sideways now, face toward the wall. "I'm here," she cried, skidding to his side. "It's okay. I got it." She uncapped the inhaler and knelt beside him, gently prying his mouth open. He was barely conscious. She pressed once, twice. His chest twitched, then rose, a breath, then another. Marcus's eyes opened slightly. He blinked, confused, staring at the tiny face hovering above him. "Thank you," he managed. But when the sirens echoed nearby, Maya was already backing away. And before they turned the corner, she was gone. From behind a stack of crates, Maya watched as two paramedics lifted Marcus onto a stretcher. "BP stabilizing," one said. "Lucky break. Whoever gave him the inhaler might have saved his life." Dispatch said a kid called it in. "No ID, just a hang-up." Maya wrapped her arms around herself, heart pounding. Then she turned and walked back home. Above the pawn shop, Grandma was still asleep in her recliner. The oxygen machine hummed beside her. The little apartment smelled like old soup and menthol. Maya crept in quietly, hid the now empty coin pouch under her pillow, and curled up beside Grandma. She didn't say a word. She just lay still, listening to the machine breathe for the old woman she loved. The woman who taught her never to expect help from strangers. And yet today, she had been the one to help. At Mercy Hospital, Marcus opened his eyes under sterile white lights. Machines beeped softly. The weight in his chest had lifted barely. Jeremy sat beside him. "You had a bad attack," he said. "They found you in an alley." Marcus turned his head. "A girl," he croaked. "She helped me." Jeremy frowned. "What girl?" "6, black, tiny. She had an inhaler. She saved me." "No one saw her, sir." "She was there," Marcus said firmly. "She's the reason I'm alive." Jeremy looked unsure, but nodded. "I'll look into it." Marcus turned away. In his hand, he clutched the pink inhaler. No label, no name, just a butterfly sticker faded, but still holding on. Like someone who never gave up, Nia didn't sleep that night. Even as the apartment dimmed into silence and the city's muffled chaos slipped into dreams, her eyes remained open. She stared at the ceiling, heart thumping like a second hand on an old clock. The image of the man gasping for breath, his trembling hands, his pale face, it wouldn't leave her. She'd saved him, but she'd also used the last $5 they had. And worse, she knew what would happen if someone figured out who she was. She turned toward her grandmother, curled in the recliner, the oxygen tube looped across her cheeks. The soft hum of the machine was comforting. Maya crawled out of bed quietly and reached under her pillow, checking the little coin pouch. Empty, of course. She closed her fingers around the worn fabric anyway and held it tight. At breakfast, there was no milk, just toast and a little jam from the church pantry. Grandma didn't ask why. "Maya," she said gently, voice husky with age and illness. "You feeling all right today, baby?" Maya nodded and forced a smile. Grandma squinted at her. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "No, ma'am," Nia said softly. "Well," the old woman muttered, coughing into her sleeve. "If ghosts come knocking, you better just tell them to go find someone richer." Maya cracked a small smile. Grandma always found a way to make her laugh, even on days when things were heavy. After breakfast, they walked to the church pantry together. The streets buzzed more than usual. At the soup line, people murmured about a man who'd nearly died downtown. "Fancy suit, big-time businessman, almost keeled over near Jackson Square," someone said. "Heard a kid saved him." Maya froze, her fingers tightened around the sleeve of her grandmother's coat. "They said the kid disappeared before anyone got their name," the man added. "Like an angel or something." Maya looked down at her worn boots. One of the laces was missing. Her coat sleeves were too short. She didn't feel like an angel. She felt like a scared little girl who'd broken the rules. At the market across the street, a small television above the counter played the morning news. A headline scrolled across the screen. "Billionaire Marcus Coleman rescued from near-fatal asthma attack." A blurry image of Marcus being loaded into an ambulance filled the screen. Maya's stomach turned. They knew who he was now. It wouldn't be long before people started asking who saved him. She tugged on Grandma's hand. "Can we go home?" Grandma gave her a tired look, but nodded. Back in the apartment, Maya sat by the window, watching cars crawl by like ants under the winter sky. Her reflection in the glass looked different now. Was this what heroes look like? Scared and hiding. She didn't feel brave. She felt watched. Down the block, the corner store owner, Mr. Ray, was putting up a new sign. "Help wanted. Cashier evenings." Maya's mind wandered. If she were older, she could work. Maybe then she wouldn't have to steal Grandma's last $5. The knock on the door startled her. Grandma wheezed as she got up to answer it. On the other side stood Miss Lillian, a church volunteer with gray curls and kind eyes. I brought y'all a care package, she said cheerfully, handing over a bag of groceries, some oatmeal, oranges, and a little surprise. Maya peeked inside. There, nestled among the items, was a small bottle of chocolate milk. Her eyes welled with tears. Miss Lillian looked at her, surprised. Everything okay, honey? Maya nodded quickly and ran to her room. In the hospital, Marcus Coleman sat upright, watching the news segment replay for the third time. He'd refused sedation. His mind was sharp and restless. Jeremy stood at the foot of the bed, arms crossed. No one came forward. Still no ID on the girl. She was real, Marcus said firmly. I know, Jeremy replied. We checked local security footage. Most cameras missed the alley. There's one blurry shot of a kid running, but it's too grainy to confirm. Marcus looked down at the inhaler still on the bedside table. Pink decorated with a fading butterfly sticker. He picked it up, turning it slowly in his fingers. I owe her, he said. Jeremy hesitated. You owe a lot of people, Marcus. No, Marcus said more quietly. I mean it. That girl. She gave up something to help me and nobody else did. Not a soul. Jeremy shifted uncomfortably. What do you want to do? Marcus stared out the window. Find her. Jeremy frowned. We don't even have a name. Then we start where it happened. Marcus said the alley. Ask around. Post flyers quietly. No media circus. Jeremy sighed. You're serious. I have money, don't I? Marcus replied with a trace of a smile. Time to use it for something that matters. Back in her room, Mia sat on her bed, holding the chocolate milk like a treasure. She didn't open it yet. She just stared at it, remembering the look on the pharmacist's face, the sound of Marcus wheezing, the blur of flashing lights as she slipped away. She wasn't sure what would happen next. But she knew one thing for certain. She didn't want anyone to know it was her. Not yet, because heroes, she figured, didn't always get statues. Sometimes they just wanted to be left alone. Marcus didn't sleep that night either. The hospital lights were dimmed and the machines hummed their familiar lullabies, but his mind stayed sharp, restless. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her, the little girl with wide, alert eyes and trembling hands that didn't hesitate. He had faced death before on hiking trips gone wrong, flights with sudden engine failures, once even during a violent robbery when he was younger and cockier. But this time was different. This time it wasn't fate or luck that saved him. It was her, a child, no more than 6 or 7, and she had vanished without a name. The morning sun barely crept through the blinds when Jeremy walked in. Coffee in hand and a tablet under his arm. I sent someone to check pharmacy records, he began. But most over-the-counter sales aren't tracked. No prescription, no ID. Dead end. Marcus took the coffee silently and sipped. He looked older than usual, more human. His hands trembled slightly, not from weakness, but from a strange cocktail of frustration and awe. What about the alley? Marcus asked. Jeremy nodded. I went myself early this morning. Talked to the bakery owner, the food truck vendor, the buskers. No one saw her clearly. One guy remembered seeing a little girl with a pink coat running like hell, but that's all we've got. Marcus leaned back against the pillows. She's not invisible. No, Jeremy said, sitting down. She's just used to not being seen. That struck a chord. For a long time, Marcus had prided himself on seeing everything: market trends, deal weaknesses, opportunities hiding in plain sight. But he had missed people like her. Kids living in silence in the cracks of the city. We'll find her, Jeremy said again. Softer this time. Marcus nodded but said nothing. Later that day, against his doctor's orders, he signed a release form. He wasn't one for laying around while answers drifted out of reach. By the afternoon, he was dressed and wheeled into his black SUV, a private driver waiting. Jeremy sat beside him with a stack of maps and notes, truncated 75,434 characters, Marcus called everyone's attention. He took the mic and spoke with warmth and simplicity. Today marks not just a season or a building opening. It marks the first harvest of what we planted together. Tomatoes, friendships, stories, all grown here from second chances. People cheered softly and raised cups of punch in his direction. Then he nodded at Maya. She stood at the microphone, timid and bright-eyed. "I want to say thank you," she began. Her voice trembled like morning wings but grew stronger. "Thank you for believing when I didn't believe in myself. Thank you for showing me that saving someone can bring life like wings that don't just lift you but lift others too." The crowd erupted in applause. Tears glistened among strangers and friends alike. Maya couldn't stop the warmth rising in her chest, the glow of being seen. That night, after the last guest departed and lanterns dimmed, Maya and Marcus walked through the garden under a sky heavy with stars. Grandma slept inside, humming softly in her bed. They paused by the sunflowers, tall and golden, bowing in the night breeze. Marcus pulled out a small origami butterfly he'd folded earlier. "I made this for you," he said, offering it carefully. Maya took it. "It's perfect." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the butterfly pin he wore. He held it out. "Your wings inspired mine," he said. "Take it. Let it remind you that leaders lift others." She held it close, a sudden ache in her eyes. "I don't know how to thank you." "Huh? Just keep doing what you're doing," he replied. They stood together in the moonlight. Butterflies in paper and brass and paint binding them to something greater than themselves. A garden of second chances rooted in love. For a long moment, they just breathed together beneath the huge quiet sky where a galaxy of possibilities stretched just beyond their reach. And then with soft laughter, she slipped the pin into her jacket and together they walked inside. Because tomorrow the center would open again, and they would grow into everything it promised. Because wings aren't just about flying, they're about carrying someone home. The morning after the block party, the center felt different, lighter yet fuller. Children arrived early and raced to the garden, hand-picked herbs tucked into pockets. Parents lingered on folding chairs, sipping coffee donated by local shops, chatting as if they'd known each other all their lives. Maya stood near the entrance, hands folded, watching the ripple of smiles spread through faces she'd grown to see as family. Marcus arrived quietly, pausing by the mural to admire new wings painted overnight, blue ones with silver streaks, some orange ones traced with hope. He smiled to himself. This was home now. Inside, the schedule was deliberate, soft-edged with purpose. The morning began with a butterfly hour where kids met in a circle and shared one part of their story they wanted to let fly. Letting go of grief, fear, or doubt. Maya sat in a chair she'd painted, listening, guiding. Some children whispered, others sobbed before offering a smile. Every story became a fluttering piece of release. Next came science and wings in the backyard where Marcus led a simple experiment about wingspan. He had a tethered model plane and the children worked together to tape on colorful paper wings, then let the plane glide across the pavement. When it landed, laughter filled the air. Narrow escape or perfect glide weren't part of the plan. The point was to try, fail, adjust, and try again. By afternoon, after lessons and reading time, Maya met Elijah in the art room. He was carefully painting a butterfly in shades of gold and forest green. He looked up at her. "Maya," he said, "I've been thinking about what I want to do when I graduate." Her heart skipped. "And I want to help change how they treat kids like me," he said. "I want to be a teacher or an architect to build places where people feel like they belong." Tears gathered behind her eyes. His dream felt bigger than any wing she'd painted. She squeezed his shoulder gently. "That's a beautiful dream," she said. At the end of the day, the center held a promise circle. Volunteers, kids, parents, grandma, and Marcus gathered in the rain garden under string lights. Each person spoke a promise: kindness, growth, honesty, presence. Maya held a small bell in her lap. When it was her turn, she lifted it and rang softly. "I promise to help others learn how to fly," she said clearly. "To reach for light, to keep growing even through storms, because wings belong to more than one life." When the bell's ring faded, Marcus stood and placed his hand over hers on the bell. And I promise, he said, voice steady, to keep helping wings grow, no matter how many storms we face together. They held hands while others clapped softly, the sound bright and sure. After the crowd dispersed, Marcus and Maya walked outside together. The garden smelled of rain and soil. Tomatoes glistened under droplets. Butterflies, real ones, danced through the basil. Mia watched one land on a flower and then rise again. It helps, she said. Star power, Marcus joked. She laughed. Number we helped together, he nodded. As dusk turned into soft dark, he handed her something small, a key. It's to the center, he said. I want you to have it. She stared at the metal cold and hopeful. Why? She asked softly. Because wings belong in hands that know how to use them, he replied. You've earned more than pin and sketch. You've earned trust and leadership, she swallowed. Okay, she said. They hugged quietly beneath the chartreuse leaves. Later, inside the reading room, Grandma found Maya clutching the key. You're holding the door now, Grandma said, voice thick with pride. Maya, smiling wide. Outside the window, the night air shimmered. Somewhere a clock ticked. Somewhere, young wings learned to unfurl. Because this wasn't an ending. It was just the beginning, and the sky was theirs to paint. The morning sun filtered through the stained glass windows of the Second Chance Project's gathering hall, casting soft kaleidoscopic patterns on the tables set with fresh pastries and cold juice. All around, volunteers bustled, smoothing tablecloths, placing name tags embroidered with butterflies, whispering heartfelt corrections as they arranged the rows of folding chairs. Today was not a celebration of victory or power. It was a quiet tribute to beginning again. Maya stood near the entrance, hands folded. She felt something gentle yet fierce flame inside her chest. Dad Marcus would be arriving soon. So would many of the kids and parents who had walked these programs into life. But here in this moment before the doors officially opened, she thought of the first time she met Marcus. No, not the polished billionaire, the skinny, frightened man gasping for breath in the alley. She remembered her own small fists clutching a $5 bill and the decision to act. She remembered wings across the room. Grandma sat behind a welcome desk, smiling at early arrivals. She looked 10 years younger in the soft glow of morning. As someone handed her a bouquet of sunflowers from the garden, she leaned across and whispered to Maya, "You brought them home, baby." Mia nodded, blinking back tears. We did. When Marcus arrived, he carried no papers, no gowns, no speech notes. He simply stepped into the hall with her by his side. The guests broke into quiet applause, not loud, soft, like wings shaking themselves free. Maya and Marcus took their places at the front. A low hush held the room. Mia's voice trembled at first. Today isn't about what I've done. It's about what we did. She paused, scanning faces. Teachers, parents, teens she taught, volunteers who had folded letters for the legal defense of the center, and the small boy whose smile had cracked open even the hardest hearts. This is about second chances, about wings, but not the kind I drew in my notebook. Real wings made of community and courage. The applause this time held longer. Next, it was Marcus's turn. His voice was slower, quieter, skilled in nuance rather than gloss. I used to think saving a life meant money, influence, Visa cards. But the truth is simpler. It's about being present. It's about trust. He looked to Maya. It's about seeing people others ignore and believing they deserve more. He leaned forward. Maya saved me. Not because she was instructed to or because she expected reward. Because hope needed a pulse. That gave my life meaning again. The hush pressed back gently. From the door emerged Elijah, now in a collared shirt borrowed from his mother. He stood to join them. I want to help carry that meaning forward. He said, I'll be a second chancer, teacher, advocate, mentor for kids like me. His voice cracked and he cleared his throat, but his eyes were steady. The audience rose in a standing ovation. Maya glanced at him with tears glistening. You'll fly, she said. Program over. The hall emptied and transformed into an art showcase. Paintings from the children formed a gallery exhibition around the room. Visitors wandered on tiptoes, breathing in the bold strokes of blue wings over cracked sidewalks, portraits of small hands holding light, murals of doors opening onto bright skies. One volunteer approached Maya. "There's someone you should meet," she said, nodding toward a man waiting at the back. Maya recognized him, Mr. Harlan, principal at the high school where Elijah would start next fall. He held a thick envelope in hand and wore a careful smile. "We want to partner," he said. "We want to offer art electives, leadership, mentorship, and even college prep right here. When kids step into your center, they should feel a path ahead." Maya stared. Marcus placed his hand on her shoulder gently. With a nod, she stepped forward. "Thank you," she whispered. Mr. Harlan extended the envelope. Inside were draft outlines, letters of commitment, and the promise to help mortgage no student's dream. Outside, children chased fireflies in the courtyard garden. Families took turns in the swing that Marcus built from old crates. Evening air dipped cool. Crickets began their chorus. Grandma handed Maya a glass of iced ginger tea. "Taste it," she said. "This is grown from our garden." Mia sipped, smiling. The taste was familiar, bitter, and sweet. Roots and wings all in one breath. Marcus came to stand beside them. "I thought we'd send off the night, right?" he said. "What do you mean?" Maya asked. He pulled out a set of 2 models, a paper airplane colored in purple and gold, and a small wooden plane he'd carved by hand, painted silver and amber. "First flight," he said, "then promise flight." They walked down to the garden path. Maya launched the paper plane. Its sword wobbled, then settled gently into a patch of marigolds. Marcus launched the wooden plane. It glided forward and landed with grace. Maya looked up. "We're flying." He nodded. "Because we built wings." They walked hand in hand back to the center steps. A new butterfly symbol had been painted above the entrance. Its wings, 2 white arcs of color, looked as if they could carry the whole neighborhood upward. Grandma stood there watching them, the 2 of them. The real wings made of possibility. Maya leaned against her dad, Marcus, a symbol of hope put into action. And as dusk closed in, she whispered to him, "We did it." He kissed the top of her head, eyes glistening. "Yes," he said quietly. "You did it." Then they stood together beneath that painted butterfly, ready to take flight, all of them together. Because wings weren't just drawings. They were promises. And tonight, under the glow of lanterns and lives touched, those wings began to carry them all home. The story of Maya and the Second Chance Project teaches us that even the smallest act of compassion can spark powerful change. From a young girl's decision to help a stranger in need, a community was reborn built on trust, love, and resilience. It reminds us that true leadership comes not from wealth or power, but from courage, kindness, and the willingness to see value in every person. In a world often divided by indifference, Maya's journey is a testament to the quiet strength of second chances and the belief that everyone deserves wings to rise. If this story touched your heart, let us know in the comments. BUP Stories. Tell us where you're watching from and what part stayed with you. Like the video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that matter. BUP Stories.